Doomsday 3.
Yeah, we had Doomsday 1.
No question in my mind.
He came from one of the toughest areas of Phoenix, both in his country and of course,
Praying for safety and
Got people on the defense talking about it. You better get your ass to the ball. You better get to the ball.
I just gotta say, when it comes to former Dallas,
Different.
for sure, and they would have thrown it off because
This guy gets off you.
Smell it from and then I go to bed every night like G man, I promise you that we got a What is up? Caught me taking a quick drink, so I apologize. What's up, Cowboys Nation? Your boy Mike Tag here. Kelly K9, we're in the house. You know, you got to get hyped up, man. It's getting ever so closer to the season. But before we get rolling, man, make sure you guys hit that like, subscribe, share, all that kind of stuff, man. Help the brothers out a little bit, man. We're trying to bring you some entertainment, but we need the love back. But we definitely appreciate all the support, so definitely do it. Kelly, I see we're getting some people going in the chat, but how you doing, brother? How's it going?
I'm doing good. Man. You know, just it's the summer months, so you know, a little bit of dog days when it comes to the Cowboys and sports news and stuff. And you know, the NBA Finals is winding down. You know, so we've got, you know, once we get to the point where the NBA Finals is over, then it's just kind of like baseball, which, you know, it's still early in the baseball season as well too. So then there's just really not a whole lot for me to be interested in. So, you know, I'm just out here on Twitter cutting up and, you know, saying a bunch of goofy shit and, you know, but I'm doing good, man. I'm enjoying summer months and being on the lake and being around bodies of water and getting good sun and getting hyped up and getting ready for the Dallas Cowboys season. Cause I'm always craving Cowboys football.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And yeah, you're having fun on the lake. You know, I've had some fun a little bit on the, you know, out in the Gulf, but you know, my brothers and I, we kind of pooled a little money together and got ourselves a little pontoon boat, a little Sea-Doo switch. So, you know, naturally, you know, they let me pick out the boat and they let me get the design. You know what color it is, right? It's got to be Dallas Cowboy blue and white. So I'm thinking maybe we got to have a summer. You know, we're having a Cowboys Cave tailgate party. Maybe we need to have a summer party in Tampa, Florida, and take this bad boy out on the boat, go to the island, make a day of it, make a weekend of it, because the summers, you know, it's like without football, man, we also got to hang together and have some fun. So I'm thinking maybe we need to do something like that soon. What do you think?
I could definitely be down with it. And you know what? I saved some money today, man, with Southwest Airlines, man. Shout out to Southwest Airlines. They were running a special. It was only like a 4-day special. Today was the last day. And a lot of times I look at them and I'm like, nah, you know what? It's never the dates that I want. It's never the city I want. But I thought, you know what? To hell with it. Today's the last day. I'll check it out. And I got round trip, $152 to Dallas for the September 22nd game, Cowboys Ravens for the Cowboys Cave tailgate. The cheapest I've ever got a flight round trip to Dallas has been about $267, and that was what the old Southwesters running at that time. So $152, man, I got it about $110 cheaper than the cheapest I've ever flown to Dallas. So typically it's a $300-something round trip ticket most of the time.
Hell yeah, no, nothing wrong with that. And appreciate everyone in the chat, Vince, Mark, Cuts, of course, Rick, Ultra, you know, he's got to throw his Dak shade on there. I appreciate it, though. Vince, Doug. You know, the funny thing is, I usually don't like telling too personal of a story, but, you know, Cuts ass. So that's like, what do you do? I'm going to say it. So my brothers and I, we all chipped in to get this boat. And so you got to name a boat. So my middle brother decided, he came up with a name. Let's call it Below 2.0. And I said, so it took me 1 second to think, and I knew exactly what he was talking about. So the story of it is Below 2.0, and this is embarrassing, but it is a fact. My brothers and I, neither of us graduated high school with an above 2.0. My oldest brother was, as my dad always said, was the smartest dummy with a 1.7 or 1.9. I graduated with a 1.7, and my brother graduated with a 1.5. But the funniest thing is we're all pretty successful in life. So, it just goes to show every kid do well in school, but really hard work is the most important thing in life. You got to be a hustler, and we're all hustlers, and we all work very hard from, the day that we could work. So, but it is funny in a way. So that's the name of the boat's going to be Below 2.0.
All right. I like that. That's a good one. I like that. Below 2.0. I have no idea what my grade point average was when I graduated, but I know it wasn't great. There's the people that talk about straight A students. I think I was a straight D student. I was just barely above, scraped by the skin of my teeth.
Well, and the good thing is, I'm sure for you, like my kids all did well in school. They all had, good, respectable GPAs. My daughter, she's going to be a senior next year, and she gets excellent grades. My son graduated with, with some good grades. I'm gonna say he wasn't, all honors or anything, but he did a hell of a lot better than Dad did. And it's funny, they got a lot smarter than me. But I don't know if you were that way, but when I was in school, I was, I'm not stupid, but I always did just enough to get by. So in order to play sports, you had to have a 1.5. So I had a 1.7. In order to graduate high school, you had to have a 1.5. I got, so I got a 1.7. And now you have to have a 2.0 in order to play sports and graduate and all that stuff. So I know that I would have got over a 2.0 if I had to. It's all about the drive I had in school, and it sucks because I just was not school just didn't interest me as far. The social part did, but doing the homework and doing that stuff just wasn't me. So
nothing wrong with it, man. School's not for everybody.
No,
school is not for everybody.
That's why they make trade school, and that's why they have other things to help you out in that. So anyway, not to get sidetracked, but we get a little story. So Cuts, you're the one who asked the question, so you got to get the answer. But what do you think about this, Kelly? I want to get your, that instant reaction happened today. Trevor Lawrence. Now let's talk about this. He gets paid, right? He gets $275. He's averaging 55 a year. I think it's, what was the guarantee on it? 200 or 140? I forgot what the guarantee was. You guys can help us out. But needless to say, he gets the contract.
I'm looking it up right now. It's 140.
Got it. Go ahead, Kelly.
200 million guaranteed.
200 million. That's what I thought.
200 million guaranteed.
Yeah, 200 guaranteed. So he was going into his fourth year. So it wasn't like he was even at his fifth year option. They paid him early, gave him a 5-year extension. I mean, what's your thoughts? One, of the money. What does this mean for Dak? And is this another example of the Cowboys just waiting it out, and understanding the price never goes down, it only goes up?
Yeah, I mean, it's bad for the Cowboys if you believe that the Cowboys are going to re-sign Dak Prescott. There's some people that still don't think he's going to get re-signed. But yeah, Trevor Lawrence, really hasn't done much. Everybody talks about how Dak's not worth it. What's funny that Dak's not worth this amount of money, but you look at these other franchises, they're paying lesser quarterbacks, a lot of money, whether it's Jared Goff, Trevor Lawrence, these guys are guys that, haven't really done a whole lot. I mean, yeah, Goff did have a nice little playoff run this year, but I mean, when you look at their overall body of work, I mean, you can't sit there and look at them and be like, wow, these dudes have done, so much more than Dak Prescott statistically, in the win column, whatever. So it's just more of the Cowboys mismanaging cap situation, in my opinion. I think that if you wanted Dak Prescott there to be your quarterback and you wanted to sign him, I think you would have done that a while ago. It just doesn't make any sense to me that you keep sitting, as Jerry says, watching the leaves fall. I mean, plenty of leaves have fallen, Jerry. If you're going to do something, you should do it, man. So I don't know, man. It's definitely, definitely a troubling sign if you think that the Cowboys are going to get re-signed Dak, because if they do, he's definitely coming in above Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah. No, I mean, he's going to go, he's going to get paid more. So, I mean, a lot of people had said 60, and it just puts you in a position. And I was talking to I think Mike on Twitter, good guy. And, he's like, hey, you can't pay him. Can't pay him more than Mahomes. You can't, they're just going to have to let him walk. And I was like, well, what are you doing? I get it. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money to pay a quarterback. But one, aren't the owners a little bit to blame here? The owners keep paying these guys these salaries. Right? At what point, do the owners have to take responsibility? And they must have the money to pay because they're paying it. Yeah,
it is. I saw a deal the other day, and it was, they were talking about that the Cowboys just have made it a habit to wait until the last minute. And they said, the margins that they're, these are margins that if they jump and get these deals done sooner, that you're able to sign players in free agency that we didn't get. Because of the fact that they are waiting on contracts like this, and they couldn't sign. They decided not to sign these guys because, they didn't lock up these dudes a little bit earlier. If you start locking these guys up and you do the CeeDee Lamb deal and you do the Dak Prescott deal, you're not having to worry about jumping over top Justin Jefferson for CeeDee Lamb. You're not having to worry about jumping over Trevor Lawrence for Dak Prescott. But instead, they've decided to wait, and it's become that that waiting game, and the price tag just continues to rise for both CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott. And it just doesn't make any sense to me. It's bad business in my opinion. I don't like the way that the Cowboys front office has done business the last several years, honestly. The way that they've done contracts and negotiated contracts and waited just don't make any sense. So it's just, but it's the way that the Cowboys have adopted, doing business, unfortunately, and us as fans don't really have any control over it.
Yeah, and they're doing it with CD, and we all know what CD is going to get. And and help me, and Ultra, he's a resident expert on it. In the playoffs, right? So they don't have to pay him the $60 million. Isn't there something where there's dead money next year? Like, let's say they let him walk, they're still going to be killed with some dead money, because they moved it, they kind of moved his contract. If I'm wrong, someone tell me that. But there was someone, either an ESPN insider, there was someone that said that
you are paying Dak Prescott money next year.
Yeah,
you are paying Dak Prescott money next year. Yeah, he's I don't remember how much it is, but I think where somebody said you can't pay Dak $60 million. I think that's where it comes in, because I think this year he gets somewhere around maybe 45, and next year it's 15 or something like that. So I don't know exactly what it is, but I think there is some dead money for sure. But yeah, so you're paying Dak Prescott to play quarterback this year, and then you're paying him again next year if he's not on the roster. So one way or another, Dak Prescott's getting paid, and he's getting some money next year too. So I just, again, some people are, Mike Greenberg had a segment on ESPN this week, who said that he thinks that Dak Prescott and his agent are going to wait, and they're going to bet on themselves, and they're going to wait until they're a free agent next year and make the Cowboys have to go into a bidding war, which, if that happens, one, I don't think it's good for the Cowboys. I know that there's plenty of people that there's not plenty. I won't say plenty. I'm going to say probably about a 10-15% of Cowboys fans out there, because I don't feel like it's a majority. But there's going to be people that'll be fine with that if they let Dak Prescott walk. But they're definitely going to. Dak Prescott's going to get paid, and he's going to get paid a lot of money.
He's going to get paid by somebody.
If it's not the Cowboys, it's going to be somebody else. So if Dak hits free agency next year, the Cowboys got themselves into a bidding war, and it's going to be even worse than if they just tried to work out a deal and get it done before training camp this year, which I still have to believe that a deal gets done this year. I still believe it. Time will tell if I'm wrong, but I don't think that they go into training camp with I don't think they go into training camp without a deal in place. I think that when training camp starts in Oxnard, I think Dak's going to have a deal in place.
Yeah. And play devil's advocate. Mark has asked a question, and if Dak walks, where do you think he could end up? I think there'll probably be, I could probably think of 8 teams that would sign him in a minute. The Raiders, the Giants. You could look at God, I'd have to go through it. Who do we have in the East? The Giants in the East. You got Washington's gonna have.
Let me ask you a hypothetical. let me ask you a hypothetical question here because I was just thinking about that, who they signed. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's say that because I know people will call me crazy because they'll say no damn way they'd move on. But what if Jalen Hurts has a shitty year this year, another bad year, another down year, and the Eagles say, you know what? We're willing to part ways because they let Carson Wentz go 2 years into a multi-million-dollar, 2 years into a $5 million or a 5-year multi-million-dollar deal where he was getting paid almost $40 million a year, and they cut bait with him. So the Eagles could look at that situation and say, Dak Prescott's owned our asses for years. I'm not saying it would happen. I'm just saying, what if?
That would be the ultimate. That would be the ultimate night for Dak.
I would hate to see Dak Prescott in the Eagles jersey. I don't think it would happen. I'm just saying hypothetically, that would be worst case scenario. I think that would be terrible to see him in Philly green. It'd make me vomit.
No, that wouldn't be. That would be bad. But I mean, you could see it. You don't know what the Dolphins, obviously. Some of these teams that have these quarterbacks that are kind of mid-tier or just unsure. Even the Jets. I mean, you look at Rodgers has probably got 1 year left and see what happens. Right. It'd be. I would not want to see Hurts as a Cowboy. No, please don't do that. Don't do that. But the thing that I said, when you're thinking about Dak and I think competition's great, and I think it's good. I mean, I would commend him if he bet on himself and said, you know what, I'll just ride this thing out, and I'll be an unrestricted free agent, and then we'll just see what happens. I'd give him a lot of credit for that if that's his choice. I think for the Cowboys, it's going to come down to Trey Lance, and if Trey Lance ends up having a really good preseason, which I hope he does, I hope he lights it up. That's going to make Dallas, it's going to make their owners feel pretty good, right? It's going to say, hey, let's ride it out. And if it doesn't work the way we want, we just let it go. And if he wins a Super Bowl, maybe it's Joe Flacco, right? When did Joe Flacco won a Super Bowl and then he was gone? Or was it Joe Flacco? Who was it? Or no, Trent Dilfer. Was it Trent Dilfer? Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl with the Ravens. And they brought in Elvis.
Yeah, I think it was Dilfer. I know Flacco won a Super Bowl and leveraged that into a multi-million-dollar deal that the Ravens regretted after. Yeah. I'm losing it. Hey, everyone in the chat, am I losing Kelly or is it me? Maybe it's me. One of us is might be lagging a little bit. But no, I think with Trey Lance, that's going to be that would be the thing. And maybe Dallas says, hey, we won the Super Bowl. We may have a team that can continue on. And if Trey Lance looks good, it'll be a little bit cheaper. But Trey Lance, they didn't pick up his 5th-year option, so they can franchise him or something like that. But it's still going to be a big, still going to be big money. Yeah, you're going to have to pay somebody. And that's the thing with the quarterbacks. It's that the price is just getting so high. And you think about it, like, look at Daniel Jones. And I like Trevor Lawrence was one of my favorite quarterbacks in college. I mean, but what has he really, really done? I mean, he got this contract coming off an injury season that he barely played and they didn't play well. And he still got all this money. You know what I mean? It wasn't like the Jaguars didn't say, you know what, let's just wait 1 more year. Because they could have waited this year. They could have picked up his 5th-year option. They could have really waited 2 more years if they wanted to. But I think they see it. They see it with these quarterbacks. It's like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. But, like everything with the Cowboys, it's constant headlines. And it was proven evident. I don't know if you were watching any of the ESPN during the morning or lunchtime. I go out and have lunch and always hit a sports bar. And they said they were talking about the Mavs. And what has been more disappointing, the Mavs or the Cowboys? I'm like, how is this even a comparison? Aren't the Mavericks like the 5th seed in the West and they got to the finals? I mean, are they supposed to win? I mean, I'm not a basketball expert, and I'm not a fan of the Mavs, so I don't really have any dog in the fight. I don't like the Celtics, but I like how the Heat always beat them when we're healthy, Mark. Of course, when we're healthy. But I mean, how does this? I mean, they still got to tie the Cowboys in during this offseason. That really, I don't think this had nothing to do with the Cowboys. What do you think? Yeah, it's funny how even in basketball season in the finals, ESPN will find a way to work the Cowboys in. they had to have been salivating when they saw that. They're like, yes, we get to talk about the Cowboys because the Dallas Mavericks are in the finals. Because one way or another, they were going to work in the Cowboys storyline. They were going to talk about, if Dallas would have won it, it would have been, are the Mavericks, the Mavericks and the Rangers, does that put more pressure on Jerry Jones? That's the storyline they would have led with. Now they're leading with which is the more disappointing. And obviously it's the Dallas Cowboys in a
Not even
runaway
close,
landslide.
right?
I don't know one person that thinks that the Dallas Mavericks season is more disappointing than the Dallas Cowboys. There's not a damn way you can tell me that's the case. The Dallas Mavericks 5 seed went through the number 1 seed in the West. They went through the Denver Nuggets, who are the defending champs. They literally went through this kind of gauntlet in the West, and they were the 5 seed. There was no expectations really of Dallas making this run. Nobody thought they were going to go to the finals. They ended up in the finals. They're probably going to get swept, I think. They may win one. But the Cowboys got their asses whooped at home by a Green Bay, by a 7 seed, when we hadn't lost at home all year, actually in 2 seasons, and got our asses just demolished. It's not even close. Anybody that says that the Mavs are the bigger disappointment, they're just hating, and maybe a Celtics fan, because that's a dumb take.
Yeah,
really dumb.
It's not. But hey, let's we got a super chat, so we got to show some love to Chris, man. He says Herbert got 50 a season. Lawrence just got 55. I don't want to hear him more bitching about Dak's contract. I agree. I don't bitch about anyone's contract. I mean, these guys make the money you can make. I got no hate on it. I don't know why people care what these players make. I'm a fan of the team. If Dak's on the team, I'm all in. If Dak ain't on the team, I'm riding with whoever it is. If it's Trey Lance or someone else, I really don't care. But I could give two you-know-whats about what a guy makes. It has no impact in my life whatsoever. So I'm with you, Chris, man, and appreciate the super chat and the love. Thank you.
And to address the comment from Ultra, that's not the question. We're not asking the question about did they win it all. It doesn't matter who had the biggest disappointment in the postseason, and it's the Cowboys. We're not asking. We're not saying that we're not giving them a participation trophy. We're always patting them on the back. But who had the bigger disappointment? It's the Cowboys. The number 2 seed lost at home and got their ass whooped by the 7 seed. The Dallas Mavericks actually got to a fucking championship game. The Cowboys haven't done that in 30 goddamn years. They haven't even got past the divisional round. So, I mean, it's not the question about a participation trophy. And it nobody's saying it matters. Again, you're saying an irrelevant point. You're trying to interject something.
Stir you up. He knows how to stir you up, Kelly.
He's trying to interject something in the conversation that's not even a part of the debate. It's a simple question. Ultra, you're over there riding the fence, man.
It's not even close to me. I mean, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not a Mavs fan. And of course, you're disappointed. You go to the fight, you expect to win. I mean, no one goes in anything satisfied or complacent or just okay. Whatever happens, we're playing with house money, like they say. There's none of that. But and I agree with you 1,000%. It's not even close. I mean, they should, but the ESPN and Stephen A. Smith, they gotta tie everything always back to the Cowboys. It's really, there's no comparison, but it's it's tough because I bet on the Celtics in the first game. I took the Celtics and I gave 6.5. I took the Mavericks in the second game because they were getting 7.5, and Mavericks only lost by 7, so I won. And game 3, I'm thinking pride. I'm thinking they're home. And the Mavericks were giving 2.5. I said, Mavericks are going to win. I just thought they were going to win. Now, I mean, Celtics are clearly the better team. I mean, they're a deeper team. They've just got more firepower, and it seems like they just got more, dog, for lack of a better word, in them. They just seem to play on a different level than the Mavericks, and I think it's over. I don't think the Mavericks are going to win one game. Do you think they're going to salvage anything, or they're going to get swept?
It feels like they're going to get swept. But I mean, you never know, man. They're still playing at home this next game. I could see them pulling out this game. I could see Boston maybe taking their foot off the pedal a little bit just because the fact that they decided they're like, we can win this thing at home, because I don't think that the Celtics are going to lose at home. So they could give the Mavericks some hope, and the Mavericks win a game, and then all of a sudden you hear it's like the T-Wolves when they were down 3-0 and they won a game and kept from getting, and they were like, yeah, 3-1. All we needed was to win one game at a time, and then the Mavericks blew the doors off them in game 5. I would probably see something like that happen.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, yeah, we'll see. I mean, the Celtics wouldn't mind to win it on their home court, right? I guess, but I didn't even realize, I'm learning stuff during this season, that Kyrie Irving, who played for the Celtics, right? He has never beaten the Celtics since he left Boston. Pretty interesting. So I should have thought about that before I made a bet and cost myself money. And I don't bet, just so you guys know, I follow Uncle Cheech's rule. I don't use the mortgage payment to make bets and go chase lost money. I bet like $20. It just keeps me interested in the game, because I'm not really a fan of either team. So it gives me a reason to watch. So that's why I do it. So, but anyway, one of the main conversations and topics I wanted to have with you guys, as you see, we all get to buy our jersey, before the season. I know, Kelly, I think you're talking Diggs. You're breaking out the Diggs blue jersey. You're going with the blue. I've got a bunch of the blue jersey. I like the traditional white, but it's going to be risky. It's a risky proposition, because these things can get dirty quickly, and they're a pain in the ass once they stain. But I went ahead and got Ferguson, man. That's how strong I feel about him. And I'm not going to tell you that I had a Jalen Smith jersey. I'm not going to say that. I did buy it, as a special, so I don't want to jinx anything. But I believe in Ferguson. I think he is going to be the next great tight end in Dallas. You're talking Witten. You're talking Novacek. You're talking Doug Cosby. You're talking, Billy Joe Dupree. I mean, the list goes on. Dallas, the legacy that they've had of tight ends in this franchise. I just think Ferguson is going to be the man. And I was on, Boys in the Zone with EJ. Where was it? Yesterday, hopefully, man. Time flies. And I told him, I think Ferguson is the catalyst of this offense as far as getting it to the next level. We know everything runs through CD, but CD, you got to have somebody else. And I just think Ferguson is going to be that guy that is just going to explode this year. Am I crazy? Am I drinking the Ferguson Kool-Aid? I know he's messing with the girls from the U, the basketball twins, but I don't know if I'm too crazy. What do you think?
No, man. I thought that Ferguson was huge last year, and I thought he made several big plays. And I think he kind of came into his own. And you see, he's just got that swag. He's got a little bit of an attitude. He's got, the way that he, jumped up and got in Jamal Adams' face, and then just completely owned him on that catch in the red zone right after, because he kind of got pushed, and he's kind of pointing first down, you know what I mean? He's like, and right back into his face, and then come right back down there and broke him down on the goal line and got that touchdown against Seattle. He's definitely got swag. He seems to be able to make some very athletic catches. He's big, he's physical. He's one of these new style tight ends that you can line up, a Travis Kelce-ish type player. And I really like that about him. A lot of people have kind of made some of those comparisons to him, maybe because they both I think rock the same number. I'm pretty sure Kelce, I think, wears that 87. And I think Travis Kelce even said that Ferguson reminds him of himself a little bit as well. So, that style of play and having a tight end like that's a big playmaker, definitely going to be a security blanket, for Dak Prescott this season, and a guy that I think is going to do some great things. Absolutely. Now, what we need, what would be nice, is if we could get anything out of our guy Schoonmaker that we drafted. If we could get something out of him, it would be nice. It's a second round pick that we used on him, and I've gotten absolutely nothing out of the dude, and he's injured again going into training camp. Got injured again, and just more and more every day, looking like that was just a wasted pick. I still won't forgive the Cowboys for doing that to me when I'm at the draft. Round 2, they draft a tight end, and I just remember cussing. And I was saying going into that draft, do not get a tight end. And there was a lot of people saying, the Cowboys, do not get a tight end. I said, we got Ferguson on the roster already. Don't draft the tight end. Ferguson's going to be the guy. I've got the tweets and the receipts, man. And they did. And I was pissed then, and I'm pissed now, man. And I need Schoonmaker to come and prove me wrong and do something. Get on the field and make some damn plays.
And I hope he does. I mean, because if you get that 2 tight end, if you end up like if Schoonmaker can be that guy, and you got Ferguson, I mean, you got shades, and I hate to say it, I probably shouldn't even say his name, but Aaron Hernandez and Gronk. I mean, you can end up with something like that. But the thing I love about Ferguson is I just don't think our offense has identity of toughness, right? I mean, Dak isn't that guy. He's so nice. I mean, I wish he would just, get up in somebody's face. But he does it sometimes, but it's just not him. CD, I mean, he's got some flash and he's got some charisma, but he's not that Michael Irvin type, if I was going to compare, what I'm thinking. Ferguson is the guy, on offense that can be that lightning rod, that can be the guy that, hey, man, you're going to get in someone's face. We're going to fight. You know what I mean? And maybe Guyton on the offensive line is going to be the guy on the offensive line. He's got some nastiness to him. And what he said kind of, in some of his interviews and stuff like that shows that he might have a little bit of Eric Williams, if I want to throw a name out there, some throwback of just a guy that would punish you and let you know about it and hurt you, just break your will. That's what this team is missing. It's missing it on offense for sure. I think it's missing it on defense, and it's just you got to hope that someone is going to be able to be that guy on defense, whether it be, obviously they got Kendrick. It's to me, it always maybe that linebacker. Maybe I'm caught in that Ray Lewis, mindset, and Ken Norton Jr. and some of these guys. It always seems like your middle linebacker, someone needs to be that nasty guy, the fiery guy. But I think Ferguson just brings it, and that's what I love about him.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, he's a guy that's physical. He's got some toughness, and you want some toughness for these Cowboys, man. I think that, I don't know, man. You're right. When you look at the Cowboys offense, like, if you look at, the 49ers offense, you got a guy like Debo, who is a physical, tough, just, he's a guy that's going to go 100 every play. He's going to push. He's going to get nasty. Then you've got Kittle. Kittle's a guy that brings that energy like that. You've got a Brandon Ayuk who is like that. I mean, their offense has a lot of guys who bring a physical, tough nature. And when you look at, I'd even say that way kind of with Detroit's offense, they've got some guys that are like that. And when you look at the Cowboys outside of Ferguson, you're like, who really has got that nasty streak? Who's really a guy that, the opposing defense is like, God, you really have to bring it with this guy. Cause I really would like to see that at a CD, but obviously you can't get that at everybody. I keep thinking back to the playoff game when that dude from Green Bay just shoved CeeDee Lamb, and CD just kind of like didn't even do anything. Like, I don't know, man. I mean, obviously it's a playoff game. You got to hold your composure, but shit, if somebody pushes you, at least turn around and act like you're going to do something.
Yeah.
Don't just keep on walking. I mean, then dude just shoved you. I mean, let him take your lunch money from you. So,
maybe a fourth receiver is someone you throw a guy in there and the other guy gives him a cheap shot back. So if they won't go ahead, that's what Jimmy Johnson was all about, man. If you're going to get personal fouls, get it early in the game.
Yeah.
He used to tell his defensive line, hit the quarterback late, hit him early. Go ahead, set the tone. We know we're going to get the penalty. I'd rather get it early. And I think that toughness is missing from this team. And to your point with CD, to me, that was kind of, as a fan, you looked at it and you look back and say, man, that's kind of was the sign of just bad things coming. So,
yeah, no doubt, man.
So, but anyway, I'm excited to see that. I'm interested too on the defensive side. Who is the guy that you think could or will be that? You think it could be an Overshown? I mean, he showed some of that kind of fire. Could it be? I mean, it doesn't always have to be your best player. Like Micah Parsons, he's animated and he does that, but he doesn't strike me as that guy that's, just kind of in your face. You always thought it might be Tank. I mean, Tank sometimes would be kind of that guy, but he doesn't really do it a whole lot as much on the field as he does in the locker room, you know what I mean? Or pregame or whatever. So do you see a guy on this defense? And there was a question in the chat about Gilmore. What's your thoughts? Obviously, I don't think they're going to be bringing him back. They might.
Well,
I heard he had some surgery or something, so maybe they're
yeah,
waiting.
I think there's still some things going on. I think there's still. That's what the last I heard. But there's some things going on with his shoulder. I think that the Cowboys got some intriguing players. On the defensive side of the ball. One of the guys that, and I wasn't happy with the post game party that was planned, but Sam Williams is a guy that doesn't really get talked about a whole lot, but he really grabbed the role on that special teams of being a guy. And when you saw him, in the gunner position, getting downfield and really lighting people up with a really physical nature, nasty. I mean, you could tell he enjoyed hitting people. And, I think that if we can get something out of him on that defensive line, I saw flashes of him the year before of looking like a guy. He honestly kind of reminded me at times a little bit of a Randy Gregory. And when Randy Gregory was out there, that he was a guy that was a productive guy once he got healthy and got his legs under him. He was a guy that was a dangerous pass rusher, and he also had a little nasty in him. You know what I mean? Sometimes he'd give you a late hit. And unfortunately, sometimes it's really in bad times that he'd do it. But I do like Sam Williams. He's a guy that kind of gets forgotten because I think he got in the doghouse in the offseason, and I think the coaches kind of were like, you know what, you're going to have to earn your spot back. And I think he showed them a lot last year about what he did on special teams. So I like him as a guy to come in and bring some nasty on this defense.
Yeah. I mean, hey, look, Sam Williams, you and I had our, we'll do it this year. I'm sure we'll have our guy, who's our breakout guy. Sam Williams was the guy for me. I said he was going to be double-digit sacks. He was going to be, the kind of move Tank, to the side kind of thing and steal that and be, the Micah Parsons right-hand man and hopefully be that Tony Tolbert of the Cowboys in the 90s, of just a guy who may not get all the spotlight, but you end up looking and he's leading the team in sacks. You don't even know his name. I was really high on Sam Williams. Disappointed in playoff in that situation. But to your point, I mean, he showed a lot of hustle. Sometimes he got a little penalty. We didn't like the penalties, but he had a lot of hustle and a lot of heart on special teams. Hopefully maybe he matured, and again, you're dealing with young guys and sometimes it just takes them a little bit longer to get going. But yeah, I was going to say, I saw Michael say something about defensive tackle. I think this is where we're concerned. Now, I'll throw this out there. And again, I'm no expert. I'm no guy, but I know that they've moved him around a little bit. Could you see Tank Lawrence playing a defensive tackle, on certain snaps? And because we're thin at defensive tackle. I mean, you've got Osa, right? You got the guy they got from New England. Was it Carl
Davis?
Carl Davis. Obviously, you've got Mozzie, which, we'd love to see Mozzie reach his full potential of a first rounder.
There's a guy that they drafted from Illinois, Denzel Daxon.
Yeah. They got the kid from Auburn. I think they drafted someone from Auburn, I thought, a defensive tackle.
I'm looking down the roster, and I saw that guy Denzel Daxon, who's a rookie. I'm looking down to see if it I thought he was the rookie they drafted from Illinois.
Yeah.
Well, no, Justin Rogers from Auburn. You're right. Justin Rogers, Mozzie Smith. I mean, honestly, there's a whole lot of unproven there. It really is. There's a whole lot of unproven right there at that defensive tackle. And I don't have the slightest clue of who's going to step up in that position, because you're talking about some really young guys, and then you're talking about a guy in Mozzie Smith who hasn't really shown us a lot.
No, it's like, what do you, I mean, that's the concern. I think I think that we've got to get. I mean, I'm looking at Tank Lawrence. He's
Well,
6'3", 265. I mean, you guys are usually like 300 or something like that. So yeah, there's a little weight there, but he is a good run stopper, and he's there. And if you had Parsons and if Sam Williams is there, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's, like I said, I'm no defensive coordinator. I'm no expert. I've seen D-Law be put on the inside in certain packages. I think with Dan Quinn, he was done that. So it'll be interesting to see how it works out. But I'm a fan of getting your best players on the field. I'm just thinking if you're
and I've heard some talks about that, and there's been a couple of situations actually where DeMarcus Lawrence has slid inside before. So I think that I don't think that it's out of the realm of possibility, just because of the fact that if they decide to give their rookie Nealand and they decide to give Sam Williams more snaps, maybe they do slide him in and say, hey, let's try him on this interior line and see what he can do. I mean, we obviously know he's got a great nose for stopping the run, off of the edge. Can he translate those skills in the interior? Obviously, he'd be a lot smaller in terms of an interior defensive lineman, because you're right, every guy on that roster is 300 plus at D tackle. So he'd have to maybe Zimmer sends him to Whataburger, and that's his offseason meal plan.
Well, and it's situational, right? He's not going to be here. I'm just thinking situational. If you got an opportunity,
and here's the thing: there's still a few names out there. And Ultra did talk about Linval Joseph, who's a guy that's out there free agent. There's also going to be guys that are going to get cut.
Calais Campbell's still out there. I mean, from the U. I mean, I don't know why we're not getting guys from the U, but yeah.
He just got signed. Somebody said that he just got signed, so he's no longer out there.
Oh, no. See, this is the offseason stuff. Who signed him?
Yeah, he got signed. Let's see. Expected to sign with the Dolphins.
That would make sense. He's Miami guy.
Yep,
so
the Dolphins, but yeah, I mean, you got to watch other rosters too, because there's guys that may not make it on one roster. The Cowboys always kind of have their eyes on that, and there's been times that the Cowboys have made some of those kind of moves and snag somebody off got somebody off the somebody else's. They drop them and get them off of the waivers. And and sign those guys. So there could be some guys that they look at there, that a team that's deep, because there's always a team that's deep at one position can't keep. They may want to keep a guy. I mean, just look at some of the Cowboys players that some of the guys that we've had to release over the years that have went to other teams and been starters and gone on to have pretty good careers. I mean, Danny Amendola comes to mind of a guy that was on the Cowboys roster at one time and ended up going to be a starter and a pretty productive.
Had a good career. A good career. So yeah, I mean, it's still, we got a long way to go. I mean, that's why I say is don't panic. Don't get all freaked out. And I understand the all-in thing really got people upset, got us upset, me upset, Kelly upset. After what we witnessed, thankfully we weren't there to see it with our own eyes. I don't know if Kelly and I would be fans today. I don't even know if we'd have this show. I don't even know if we have any TVs left by the time we got home. I don't know what the hell would have happened if we would have been in that stadium. Might have got arrested after seeing that. I feel so bad for anyone who had to sit through that BS that the Cowboys put on. But let me give you a silver lining. I was in Vegas. And I'll tell a quick story. So I think some of you guys saw a picture, and a lovely young lady. I'm a fan of the Challenge. If any of you guys know MTV, The Challenge, and I've watched it since I was probably early 20s. It's been around for a while. And Mariah was on. She's been on the show a couple times. And I'm going to give credit to my wife, because a lot of people think I'm some creep. My wife is the one. My wife and I were at the mall, we're just walking around, and she's the one who said, hey, because we both watched it. She goes, there's Mariah. She's going down, she's going down the escalator. And I didn't even see her. I saw her as she passed. And I said, I'm going to go find out, make sure. So I went down and just said, hey, you Mariah? And she goes, yeah. And then we just started talked a little bit about the challenge. She was very nice. So we took a picture. Now, we take a picture and I put it on there and I was trying to be nice. But either I don't think I'm as old as maybe people as I look. I don't know. I still in my mind think I'm a young guy. But the comments that I got or that I saw about a creepy old man and how does she take does she feel uncomfortable taking picture with fans like this? You know, I'm like, what the hell's going on? I was just hey man, I'm a fan. I enjoyed the show. It's not like she's some massive celebrity. She was very sweet. We talked about some of the other people on there, and I just got a few of these comments. I'm thinking, shit, man, am I that old? So I looked up some of these people from the challenge, and some of them that are still competing are only like 5 to 10 years younger than me. So it's not like I don't know. It hurt. Do you get that, Kelly, sometimes? And you know, now I'm zooming in on the picture. I'm like, damn, am I getting that old? Man, I feel young.
Well, I feel like some people are just, they like to be mean. You know, they want to be mean. And, you know, we are, the facts of it is we are getting a little bit older. You know, and I'm getting used to people that are that younger in their 20s or under 30 that want to call me an old man. But you know, I just say, hey, you know, I'm still living my best life out here. So you can call me old all you want. I say I got a sexy young woman down there in Dallas, Texas, and she thinks that I'm pretty goddamn handsome. So that's all that matters to me. So
that's all that matters.
Yeah, call me old if you want. Call me old if you want. I'm still living my best life. So yeah, no, it's funny when people call you old.
You didn't, right? That's what I should have just came back and said. You're sitting there typing it out on Twitter. I'm living the life. I'm hanging in Vegas. I had,
man, let people hate, dude. People always want to talk about something and hate on something, and you know, the comment section sometimes can be brutal, man. I mean, I've had everything from, you know, talking about my hairline, talking about me going bald, talk about how old I am. I'm a grandpa. You know, I should, you know, take care of my kids. I mean, I've gotten, you know, it's funny because I think that at some point during the season, I think we should have, Vanilla Ice. That one's been one. They've called me Vanilla Ice many times. It's funny. And I think that it's funny because I think at some point during the season, me and you should take a handful of, do you remember that segment on, what does he say? Oh, the old man creep in with know your age. If you don't know your date of your birth, tell me. Do you know do you remember that section? I can't remember who it was. Maybe Jimmy Fallon or something. They used to do mean tweets.
Yes.
You remember that? And they'd have celebrities read mean tweets about themselves. I think that me and you during the season on our show, we need to have just a short, 5-10 minute segment where we grab during the week from my reaction video and your hype video, where we need to grab 5 or 6 from yours, 5 or 6 from my mean tweets. We read them on the show. The user we got the username. We read these comments on the show. I think we need to do that because I think it's fun. It's interesting. Some of these guys get creative. Some of these guys get downright nasty and hit a little below the belt, but
some of them I laugh at. Like, I like a good humor one. I've had people, say stuff about, someone called me Mike McCarthy. Someone called me some other names. People make fun of my legs. They say I got little stick legs or something like I miss leg day.
Yeah, I've been told I skip leg day many times.
Yeah, I mean, what am I gonna do, man? I work out my leg. I mean, look at my dad. He's got stick legs.
I've always had skinny legs, man. And I like even if I build them up, even if I get a little bit more muscle on my legs, they're never gonna be really big.
Never.
So,
No.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the rest of Cowboys Nation and the fans that tune in and watch us, I think that they would enjoy some mean tweets being read just once a week. We definitely.
Yeah, and you know what would be funny? I don't know if it'd be hard to do, but if we could do it, we could figure out if we can select like 5 people, like 5 fans, and we send it to them. That way they say it. It's something for you and I to say it, but maybe have like what they did. Like they had people just say it. You know what I mean? And that would be kind of funny just to have other people just, be able to bash us. But I love the idea.
Yeah. I'm down for that too. I just think it definitely needs to be a segment for sure.
Yeah, we're definitely going to do it. We're definitely going to do it. And we are, there's some exciting news that could be happening. So guys, stay tuned, with the Cowboys Cave. We're all family, so might be an opportunity. And if that happens, I'll definitely keep everyone in the loop and all of that. But I was talking about Vegas. We got sidetracked. That's what we do. It's the off season. So sometimes we can mix a little life into it. The interesting thing, and I don't know if you guys know this, but I did my studying in Vegas because I'm like, all right, Dallas opens against Cleveland as a 1-point favorite on the road, just so you guys know. And, Kelly and I talked about this before the show, so he kind of knows the answer. But I'm going to ask you guys in the chat. The Cowboys play 17 games. How many games are they the underdog today? If you went to Vegas and you bet on games and you bet on all 17 games, how many games are you going to get points for picking the Cowboys? So they're underdogs and they're getting points. We got 14 out of 17
that he thinks they're underdogs in, right?
They're going to be. How many are they going to be underdogs in? Not favorites, underdogs. Let me correct. So Ultra, if you really believe that,
yeah, no, that's I think you said that right. I'm clarifying on that. Jeff
right,
Jeff says 3.
Jeff is 3.
So he thinks they're going to be underdogs in only 3 games. Okay,
and I
love
10
underdogs in 10 games.
Yeah, so Ultra had it flipped. So Ultra was 3.
So
Mark
I think
4.
3. Mark's 4.
So I'll say the Cowboys right now are underdogs in 2 games. 2 games. Doug is right.
Doug nailed it. Underdogs in only 2 games. That's
underdogs in 2 games, and I will have Kelly. You want to figure out, because I don't think I told you the game, but what is the 2 games that you think they'll be underdogs in?
You did. You told me.
Did I? I was trying to help you, Kelly. You don't know how to work the show.
Oh, shit, my bad. I didn't want to take credit for something to be like I'm the smart guy, but it was San Francisco. And actually, you know what I did? I forgot the other one. So I just remember you saying San Francisco. So it's San Francisco, and let me guess, the other one is gonna be San Francisco and Philly.
Philly on the road.
On the road. Yeah.
Philly on the road. So I think San Francisco, if my memory was right, Dallas is getting 5.5 or 6.5. That's a big spread. So the Cowboys, that's the biggest spread that they had. Is getting, I think it's 6.5. Doug got it right. Eagles on the road. Dallas is getting 2. And that's it. Now, I say this because as I was in Vegas is putting up all these big buildings and they've got all this stuff going. So these guys aren't stupid. So I'm just trying to just kind of put it out there is, I know there's a lot of doom and gloom with Dallas. I know there's a lot of people thinking Dallas are going to win 5 games this year or something like that. This team is still talented. They've got a lot of all pros. Forget Pro Bowlers. They got all pros on this team. And it says something that Vegas has the Cowboys, being favored in 15 of 17 games. So of course, Jimmy, big shot.
I was just going to look at something because it made me curious. Because I wanted to see 1, 2, 3. So the Eagles are actually only underdogs in 3 games.
Yeah.
So they've got the Eagles as being favorite in 14 of 17. I had to look that up and see what that was. So if that was the case, if Vegas odds hold true, which obviously we know it's not going to actually happen that way. But if odds were to hold like that, and the Cowboys actually won all the games that they were favored in, they could win the division. So in that scenario, then Vegas has, you would think, would have the Cowboys as a slightly better odds to win the division.
What is the Eagles over and under on wins? Dallas is 10.5. Dallas right now is 10.5. I'm curious what the Eagles, if they're 10.5 or if they're higher.
Let me look real quick and see.
And while he's doing that, I don't know if you guys can see that. I guess you can't. But your boy made my wagers on a couple things. I bet, because someone asked about Dallas winning the Super Bowl, what are the odds? I bet $100. I do it every year. So right now I'm in the hole, but this would help really kind of, close the gap. I bet $100 on the Cowboys to win the Super Bowl. When they win the Super Bowl this year, I get paid $1,700. So not bad odds for Dallas to win the Super Bowl. I bet $20 on the Hurricanes. This is for George Teague to win the national championship, because I told George Teague is when Miami plays Alabama in the college football playoffs, him and I are going because I want to see the look on his face when we get some revenge. $20 if the the Canes win the national championship, that pays 15-20. So if the Cowboys win the Super Bowl and the Canes win national championship, we're going to have a Cowboys Cave party somewhere, and all expenses paid because your boy's going to win a little bit of money there. So hopefully that happens. But anyway, what'd you find?
The Eagles and the Cowboys, they're right at the exact same 10.5 and 10.5. I thought that's what it was that they were both had the exact same odds to win the East, which is funny. But and here's the thing though, those odds aren't locked in place. Those odds obviously can change. Injuries in training camp can happen. Things start to shape. Preseason, for instance, if you have a guy on one side or the other that just looks like he's going to be an absolute star, that could maybe swing the momentum a little bit. So there's still some things that can happen that can change those odds. But right now, if you were to lock them in, 10.5 plus 1,400 odds for the Cowboys, 10.5 plus 1,400 odds for the Eagles. So, it's funny because to start the season, what did I tell you? I had the Cowboys at 10-7. That's what my record was I picked 10-7. So, I've got them right at that benchmark for 10 wins.
I had 11. So you divide that.
11, so we're splitting the difference right there. So, yeah. So, I could definitely see the Cowboys, going right at that 10 wins, but I could see them hitting the 11 mark as well. It's just, the picture will start to become a lot more clear. Two things. One, in training camp, when we start to see and hear how this offensive line is gelling, when we start seeing the position battles, and whether it be at linebacker, at D tackle, different things of that nature, who's going to be that number 3 wide receiver, who's going to grab the reins there. Now with Michael Gallup gone, there's a lot of things that'll start to take place and take shape in training camp, even before the preseason. But then also in the preseason, you'll start seeing some things as well too. So, I think I don't know. I don't want to speak for anybody else, but and not because I'm not a Dak guy, but for me personally, and then I'll get your opinion on who you think. But in preseason, actually, I'm going to ask you first. I'll let you answer first, and then I'll go in. But in preseason, who are you most excited of all the rookies, or not just rookies, but any of the player on the team? Who are you most anticipating the most to watch in the preseason?
Well, I would just say first, before we get to that, happy anniversary, Jimmy. 24th anniversary.
Happy anniversary, Jimmy.
Jimmy and his wife. That's why we didn't have a show Monday. For some of you guys who just were unsure, that's why he had anniversary. I was flying back from Vegas, so we just, it's a dead time. But, to me, what I've got to see, it's all about the defensive line. And whether you got I want to always say I'm going to screw his name up, but Nealon, right? The rookie they drafted. There's a lot. There's a lot riding on his success because you're counting on these young guys to really step up, because we want Sam Williams to step up, right? We think he can, but it's been 3 years? This going in year 3. It's like, you're kind of maybe at what point, and I would say to Ultra's point, he always hates on Jalen Tolbert, but we keep saying Jalen Tolbert, and we keep getting the same results. So you got to expect that you're going to get the same out of Sam Williams because he's kind of going in year 3. I hope we're wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But the young guys on the defensive line, somebody has got to step up and take it over and just kind of be an impact, because we get just thrashed running, teams running against us. We need attitude and identity. So defensive line that's the spot for me where all my eyes are going to be on that. What about you?
So for me, I'm most intrigued to see Trey Lance. And the reason I say that is because I think that he could be the most important key to this team if the Cowboys decide, if Dak Prescott has not been signed by the start of training camp, I think you're going to see a heavy dose of Trey Lance. And I understand that right now Cooper Rush is listed as Cooper Rush listed as number 2. I believe he's still listed as number 2.
Yeah. I mean, it's early.
But what I think is, I think that you are going to see a heavy dose of Trey Lance in the preseason. I think the Cowboys are going to give him every opportunity to play with some of the ones that do play, because I don't think they're all going to play. I doubt Dak Prescott plays any snaps in the preseason. I mean, he didn't last year, and I think it's 2 years in a row now. I think that he hasn't played in the preseason,
and they only played 3 preseason games.
Yeah, I don't see him playing at all in the preseason. Yeah. I see a heavy dose of Lance, and I want to see. I really do. I want to see if he's improved at all from his time in San Francisco, and see what he's got. Because I think that for 2 reasons. One, obviously, if he goes out and he shows some flashes, and you're like, oh shit, you could. And a lot of people say, well, you can't tell anything in preseason. Nah, that's not true, because we found out a lot about Dak Prescott in the preseason before Romo went down and got injured. We saw a lot from Dak, and there was moments where it was just the poise, it was the throws, it was the confidence in the pocket. You can see a lot of that from preseason. So, yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to is Trey Lance, just because of the fact that the Dak Prescott situation, and also the fact that if Trey Lance shows that he's got some development and shows that he's making some strides and some steps, and other teams see that, you could also end up leveraging him and trading, and maybe you get a 3rd round pick for the guy if they decide to trade him. Maybe you can get upwards of what you got for him and recoup a pick for next year. So, it's twofold on that. It's the Dak Prescott situation, and it's what you could get for him in a trade if you decided to trade him. So, very interested in seeing that. So,
no, and if you're looking at straight business, if we're treating this like business, right? You want Trey Lance to be really good. Like, I want him to be really good because, one, it's going to create competition. And if you're looking at it from a financial standpoint, if they say, okay, we're going to ride Dak out, they go ahead and do it. And you've got a quarterback that, okay, Dak's going to get 60. You might be able to get him for 30. He might sign a 3-year deal or 2-year. You might be able to get him for something to where give him an opportunity to kind of prove himself as a starter. Yeah. But you're talking about the number 3 overall pick. I mean, this guy's no scrub. I mean, He's got talent. I mean, the 49ers traded a boatload of picks to move up to get him. His problem has been health, right? He's he's kind of been hurt at key points where he gets the opportunity to be the starter. He gets hurt, and then the guy behind him ends up doing well, and that the story goes there. So I would, as a fan, you want the guy to be great. I hope he is. And he should dominate preseason, right, Kelly? I mean, you're playing back. Most backups are going to be playing. Trey Lance should dominate in the preseason. If he comes out there and looks like shit, then, that's more leverage for Dak. If he comes out looking pretty damn good, the leverage is going to go to the Cowboys to where they say, all right, and Dak has, like, last year was fine, but he's been hurt sometimes, like freak injuries. He's not injury prone, so slow down on hating on me. But if something happens to Dak, God forbid, and Trey Lance were to go in there, and let's just say he goes on a run, and his not the Cooper Rush where the defense was doing good. I'm talking about quarterback play where this guy is making plays and being the reason that they win. Then that's when it's going to be a fun conversation, because then it's, do you go back or do you stick? What do you? I'm always a fan of riding the hot hand, and that's what I would do.
Well, and one thing I will say about Dak, and this is something that I saw. And obviously, I called out kind of the absurdity of the fact that people can put qualifiers on stats that make things look better than they are, because it's not including the postseason. It's not this or that's not that. But what I will say is is kind of twofold. And this comes as far as Dak Prescott, but they posted this on CBS. Patrick Mahomes and Dak Prescott side by side, their last 50 starts. Their win-loss record, Mahomes 36-14, Dak Prescott 33-17. Obviously, wins. There's everybody that says wins aren't a individual stat, but they kind of are. It's a quarterback stat, and it's recorded with the quarterback. So, like it or love it, it's a stat. They both have the same amount. This is the last 50 starts. They both have 105 TDs. Mahomes, Dak, 105 TDs. Interceptions, Mahomes got 39, Dak has 38. Passer rating, Mahomes 98.9, Dak 101.3. Yards per attempt, 7.5 for Mahomes, 7.6 for Dak. Completion percentage, almost identical, 66.8 for Mahomes, 68.4 for Dak. So the thing is, over the last 50 starts, which is a little over 4 years, I mean, Dak has, in the regular season, shown the capability to put up numbers. Now, a lot of people say, stat padding, playing bad teams, whatever. But, I mean, if that's the case, then obviously Patrick Mahomes must not play any bad teams either.
He played the Raiders twice, the Broncos twice.
Yeah, he plays in a very weak division. Let's just face it. It's a weak division. When you look at that and you look at what he can do, you think to yourself, if this team could just put a complete game together, the potential is there. I mean, it is there. When you look at quarterbacks and you look at some of the best quarterbacks regular season over the past couple of years, Dak Prescott's there in every statistical category. Period. I love weed. Mahomes had a better D in the playoffs. Well, no shit, Ultra. I mean, we watch football. I mean, you're like Captain Obvious over here. We understand that. That's what I'm talking about. I said regular season. I'll speak it slowly this time. But the thing is, when it comes to quarterback statistics in the regular season, Dak is a top 5 quarterback. No matter how you want to slice it, he just is a top 5 quarterback. So from Dallas to move on for a top 5 quarterback, it's going to take some conviction. No matter how you want to look at it. You're going to have some conviction to move on from a guy like that. Because here's the thing. If the Dallas defense performed like the Chiefs defense, we have the number 5 defense. It's not out of the realm of possibility to expect your defense to hold a team to less than 41 points. Yeah. I mean, is that acceptable? 41 points for a defense, the number 5 defense? Is that acceptable? I mean, I get it. Dak Prescott had some 3 and outs. Dak Prescott threw 2 interceptions. One was a pick 6. But is it possible that your defense holds on like the Chiefs did? When the Chiefs played in the Super Bowl and had like 7 straight possessions with punts. Punt, 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 punt. I mean, the Chiefs defense wasn't allowing touchdowns on all those drives. They were holding the Niners to field goals. So the thing is, man, it's a team sport. No matter how you look at this thing, if the Cowboys could get Dak to perform in the postseason like he has performed in the regular season, and you can get that along with a great defensive effort from this defense, this Cowboys team could be a team that could compete and make a deep run and be dangerous in the playoffs. Those are all big ifs. I get it. Yeah. If it's that saying, if it was a 5th, we'd all be drunk. I get it, but the numbers are there, plain and simple. You can go up side by side with some of the best quarterbacks in the league, and Dak Prescott's stats are right there with them.
Oh, he's 100% there, and it's going to come down to playoffs. I mean, it always going to, for quarterbacks, it's just playoff success and winning a Super Bowl. We talked about it maybe last, I can't remember if it was you or with Jimmy, Eli Manning. I mean, Eli Manning is, I don't think he should be in the Super Bowl. I don't. Yeah. If he's in the Super Bowl, Jim Plunkett should be in the Super Bowl or a Hall of Fame. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Jim Plunkett should be in the Hall of Fame. If Eli Manning's in the Hall of Fame, I don't think he should be. I don't think he was good enough, but he had those playoff runs, and his defense really helped out on those playoff runs because their defense was ferocious, especially that first Super Bowl run they had. But he's probably going to get in. He'll get in because of Manning, but he's going to get in. If he gets in, it's because of those 2 Super Bowls against New England. I mean, you can't argue that. And if he gets in, he gets in. But like I said, Jim Plunkett has 2 Super Bowls and he's not in. But it'll, is it fair? I mean, like you said, is it fair? You look at Dak's playoffs, and we went through this a million times, right? And I saw Ultra. You go to the 22. That's low hanging fruit. All right, he played like shit in that playoff game. Fine. You look at Green Bay. He had 2 interceptions. He also had a monster comeback in the second half He threw for 400 and something yards. He threw for 3 touchdowns, whatever. You know, the defense did nothing for him in that game. The defense did nothing for him in Green Bay his rookie year, 3rd and 19. Was that Dak Prescott's fault? He left the field, you know, ready to go to overtime. So you look at these games, the Rams game, no defense gave up to. So it's so easy just to kind of throw everything on the quarterback because that's what they're going to do. And I mean, unfortunately, the quarterback's got to live and die with that. Tony Romo, if he had won a Super Bowl, would be in the Hall of Fame. Tony Romo was a better quarterback than Eli Manning all day, every day. Easy. But Eli Manning's got the Super Bowls, and that's what happened. But Trent Dilfer's got a Super Bowl. Does that make him, the greatest quarterback? Joe Flacco's got a Super Bowl. I mean, Mark Rippon has got a Super Bowl. Jeff Hostetler's got a Super Bowl. We can give you names of guys that won Super Bowls. So there's more to it, but it's unfortunate. And I don't know what it is with the Cowboys, that small fan base and the media. They just hate on them. And, maybe we'll see if life is better on the other side. And I'm almost, hoping to see that happen just to see, see the results. I guess, I said, if you keep doing the same thing over and over, that's a sign of, what is that, stupidity or something like that, or craziness, insanity, something they say. So if they don't get it done this year, probably just, I guess, move on. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's the, I don't know, man. I don't really know the answer to it when you look at it all, but I just know that, when you look at Eli Manning, I know I'm trying to look this thing up real quick because I know didn't they win the Super Bowl, and was it 2008 or 2007?
Who, Eli Manning or the Giants?
Yeah.
That was 2006? Wasn't that the year? Weren't we was that a really good team and they beat us? They were 97. And then it would have been maybe 2009 or 10. I don't know.
2007. But yeah, I know that they had a lot of really good, they had a really good defense that actually showed.
Oh, their defensive line the first one was Strahan, Tuck. I mean, they annihilated Tom Brady.
Yeah, they did, and that defense was really good. But yeah, I know it's funny though, because I had somebody. I've argued both sides of the spectrum. I've argued the Dak and the postseason thing, and that I didn't think he has played particularly well. I thought he's had his down games. I thought he's had his slow starts. You got to figure that out on how to get him off to a faster start. I've argued about the fact that because people have said, well, he didn't. He does play well in the postseason. I'm like, nah, well, not well enough. But then people will point out, in that in those games, both those losses to the Niners, the Cowboys didn't run the ball. I mean, they had less than 50 yards rushing in both those games. So if you can't run the ball and you're strictly forced to pass, the defense can do things. They can do different things for us. So I don't, again, I don't know the answer, man. I wish I did, but I do think that if we had a complete team effort this year, I do think that the Cowboys really this last year had a team. I just thought that the defense just looked completely lost against Green Bay. And I thought that was the difference. Like if you asked me and gave me and said, hey, what's the percentage of the blame? Yeah, I'm giving about 75% of that to the defense. Because I mean, the fact that, take Dak's interception away, you still gave up 41 points on defense. That's unacceptable for any team. I don't know many teams that are going to win in the postseason if you give up 41 points defensively.
Yeah. Well, and this is the narrative, and this is what Super Bowls can do. You look at Eli Manning. He's played 12 playoff games. He's 8-4 in the playoffs. He has 9 interceptions in 12 games. He has 18 touchdowns in 12 games, 60% completion percentage, 2,800 yards. I mean, not gaudy stats. Interception percentage in the playoffs, 2.3. I mean, most of that is higher than Dak. If you look statistics, if you're just going straight statistics, but Eli's got the rings, and he's got the rings because of a really good defense on both of them. I mean, they shut down the Patriots twice. It wasn't a shootout. It wasn't like Eli is 45, 41, 45, 48. It was like 17-14. I mean, you're talking about their defense shut down the undefeated Patriots. So the defense is what won the Super Bowls for the Giants, hands down, make no mistake about it. But Eli is going to get the credit, and that's just the way it is. I'm not crying about it. I could give two shits. I don't really care, but those are the facts, and that's what a quarterback signs up for. And that's why I say you look at Dak, no Super Bowls, he's always going to be looked at in that, category of Danny White or whatever they want to say. Tony Romo is going to be in that category. Tony Romo couldn't get it done, period. We're fans. He could not get it done in the playoffs, period. I know someone, I know a Dak hater said Tony Romo got robbed. No, he choked, just like Dak Prescott. If you're going by the same thing, he choked. I mean, you had the best team in the NFL, and you lost to the 6th seed Giants at home. That was embarrassing. You know what I'm saying? He lost other games, interceptions, bad timing, this and that. It is what it is, but that's what they're judged by. So if we're judging them, we got to judge them equally. And that's just the way it is. It's going to come down to the ring.
Yeah. And, so gonna switch gears real quick, because I posted something earlier this week, and it was just coaching related, because me personally, I'm a Mike McCarthy. I'm a fan. And I think that Mike McCarthy is an underrated coach. And what I had tweeted was that Mike Tomlin got re-signed. He got a deal. Steelers expected to sign him a 3-year contract extension. And the perception amongst most fans is that Mike Tomlin is the better coach of the two. And what I said was they're the same. Honestly, they're the same. And the thing is that you've got Pittsburgh, who has not won a playoff game since 2017, giving their head coach a 3-year extension. You got our head coach, who in 3 years has won 36 games, only got one playoff win, but still one playoff win in 3 years versus not having one since 2017. He's also won 36 games, hadn't had a losing season. And so I looked at him. I looked at him side by side. Tomlin and Mike McCarthy are mirror images of each other. Literally, it's Tomlin's 173 and 102 ties. He's 8-10 in the postseason. He's got one Super Bowl win. McCarthy, 178 wins, 113 losses, 2 ties. He's 11-11 in the postseason record. Also, one Super Bowl win. And I might add, his one Super Bowl win was over Mike Tomlin coached Pittsburgh Steelers. So, it's funny because, I just feel like that, Mike McCarthy doesn't get a lot of credit for the job that he's done. And I feel like that the Cowboys are being, in my opinion, I think the Cowboys are kind of mishandling the Mike McCarthy situation too. I think that he deserved an extension because I think that it takes some time. Everybody wants instant gratification now, and everybody wants a guy to come in and win a Super Bowl in his first contract, and that's not always how it goes. Sometimes you have to build. We talked about it all the time. We talked about culture, and we talked about winning ways. And I think it takes a while to develop that and to ingrain that in your players. And I think sometimes it takes definitely more time than just one contract. I think it would be a mistake if the Cowboys moved on from McCarthy after this year. Regardless of what happens, I really do. I think that if he loses in the first round, I think he's gone. I think it's a mistake, though. I think that it's a mistake to move on from it. I think he's a good coach. I think he works well with Dak. I think the players like him. I think he's respected. And I like Mike McCarthy. And I'm not saying that Tomlin's a bad head coach. I don't want anybody sitting there thinking I'm saying Tomlin's a bad head coach. I think they're both really good coaches, and they bring their own styles to the game. But when it comes to Mike McCarthy, the fact that he's on a prove-it year is just another example of the Cowboys, I feel like, being, trigger happy. They just want to win a Super Bowl so bad that their patience will not allow them to let things carry out over a span of longer than a 4-year period. And I think it's a mistake. And I don't know how you feel about that, but when you look at the two, I think we got, remember how they talk about Dak Prescott, call him the white Kirk Cousins? We got the white Mike Tomlin. You know, I mean, and you know, there's so many Cowboys fans right now that if you said, would you take Mike Tomlin as your head coach? Most of them that don't really know and haven't looked at the numbers and don't, most of them would say, yeah. They'd be like, yeah, absolutely. And they'd say that Tomlin has had lesser to work with at quarterback, which he has. He's done, but his defense has always been a really good defense, physical defense. They're built on running the football. They do things a little bit different than kind of a Mike McCarthy coach team, but both have proven results on the field, no matter how you look at it. So I don't know, man. I like McCarthy.
I think McCarthy. I think it's a mistake. I think it's a mistake that they didn't give him an extension. I don't think it does him any favors. It doesn't do him any good in the locker room. I think that's a perception some of these players will have, especially the guys that are under longer term contracts that aren't on a 1-year deal, that aren't going to be out. I mean, you can lose a locker room. I think the players love him. I think they respect him. I think they play for him. I think he's a very good coach. You see what I've said it for years with him. Look at how they play with missing pieces, and then just go back to the Jason Garrett years. And we all knew when Tyron Smith was out, forget it. We're going to be embarrassed. One player is going to make that big of a difference.
Or Tony Romo.
When Tony Romo was out, look what he did with Dak Prescott out. Cooper Rush, he didn't play, wasn't like he was all world, but he got the most out of him, and they shrunk down the offense and limited mistakes, and then got the defense with, they stepped up, and give him credit for that. And it worked, and they went 4-1. I think he's a good coach. He's won with Matt Flynn. He got him paid against our Cowboys when he was a Packers. He handled the Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers deal. You know what I mean? He had to deal with all that. So I think it's a mistake. And but what I would give the Steelers credit for is they are loyal to their coaches. I mean, Tomlin's only their third coach in history.
They're always loyal to coaches. And that's why I say I feel like some of it is the impatience of the Dallas Cowboys front office to stick with anybody very long. And I think that may be something that's going to shoot themselves in the foot, because I think that you've got a good head coach right now. And we've seen what a mediocre coach can do, what kind of results can happen with the Jason Garrett's, with the mediocrity, mediocrity results after mediocre results with Garrett. And now with Mike McCarthy, I get it. We haven't had that postseason success just yet, but I feel like McCarthy is building. I mean, his first year, being the guy to work directly with Dak Prescott and basically be the offensive coordinator for Dak Prescott, Dak has his best season of his entire career. I mean, obviously, we didn't get the results that we wanted. We didn't get it in postseason, which that's the ultimate goal. But Dak Prescott was, throwing dots last year. That offense was moving. It was humming. It was doing what we needed it to do. And, that was Mike McCarthy running it. And a lot of the criticism against Mike McCarthy when he came into the Cowboys was that, the analytics and this and that. Dude, I saw plenty of times where Mike McCarthy put his balls on the table and said, I'm going for it on 4th down, because that was analytics right there. Analytics says go for it. Yeah. And McCarthy would go for it. And he had the conviction and the faith in his quarterback and his team and his offense to get those 4th down conversions and to not be gun shy like Kellen Moore sometimes. When Kellen Moore would get cute, I wanted to do these stupid ass plays down on the
double reverse while you're rolling down the field to lose 20 yards.
Yeah, exactly. Mike McCarthy kept everything going north and south, and there was never really a time where you see a play and you're going, what is this dumb shit? What are we doing here? Like Mike McCarthy, I got faith in him as a play caller. I got faith in him as a head coach. And I wish that the Cowboys would have showed him a little bit more respect and signed him to an extension, because I think he deserves it. I think if Dak Prescott's going to be your quarterback going forward, I think he's the best coach and mentor to continue to develop Dak Prescott. I like Mike McCarthy, and I just thought it was interesting that the Steelers have, they're like, without hesitation, Tomlin's our guy. Cowboys are out here like a married man on the edge of divorce. They're peeping out what's out there. They're like, hey, who's single out here?
Yeah.
They're out there already window shopping. So I don't like it, me personally.
Yeah. And I know that they were loyal to Garrett for 8 years, and all those 8 and 8 years. I mean, McCarthy's won 12 games the last 3 years. And you can say what you want. I know the playoff stuff and this and that, but I'm not going to hold it on the coach. I'm not going to get rid of the coach because of it. I think a lot of it, players got to be accountable too. So I think with the defense and obviously the offense, there's a lot of blame to go around. But you also need a personality that can deal with the Cowboys and the Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones, and McCarthy can deal with it because he don't care. He doesn't have an ego. I mean, he doesn't have the ego that a Jimmy Johnson has. He doesn't have the ego. You know, if you get a Bill Belichick in here, good luck with that. Bill Parcells. I mean, that wore thin. You know, Jerry wore thin on Bill Parcells because he did things. He would do some knee-jerk stuff, and Bill Parcells wasn't like Bill Parcells wanted control. He wanted control of everything. You go get T.O., that was the end of Bill Parcells. So you just need a guy that can do it, and he's been winning. So I wish they would re-sign him just to give him the authority, just to give him kind of that respect, you know, within the locker room, which I think he has. But, you know, if you get a young guy in there that's on a 5-year deal, all right, coach, you probably ain't going to be here next year. You know, that's what they're thinking.
Yeah.
So,
yep. And I definitely agree. I think that's about right. So,
yeah. So, anyway, hey, man, we've been kicking it for an hour and a half. We got, you know, close to 300 of you guys in there, 280, whatever it is, man. We need you guys to do us a favor. And I know a lot of you watch us on X or Twitter. We need you to support us on YouTube. I hate to beg, but sometimes you just got to. Kelly's told me to beg this time, so I'm going to do it. You guys got to come over to YouTube, hit the subscribe, hit the like, hit the share. We've got a lot of great things going on. Kelly and I were talking about when this season gets rolling. We got a lot of stuff planned, a lot of fun stuff. This is Cowboy Nation channel. This is a fan interaction. We're one of you guys, and we want you to be part of the show. And the best way to do it, if you hit the subscribe over on YouTube, also hit this like, that little thumbs up button, the alert bell, all that kind of stuff, because we're going to be popping in and out of here all season long. Maybe some with some heartache, maybe some with some joy. So we're going to ride the wave with you guys, and we'd really appreciate it if you come over and hit that subscribe. We've got some great giveaways. We always give back, so we've got some stuff going on. We've got our Cowboys Cave tailgate party. We got actually some great loyal subscribers and friends of the show that are going to be donating some stuff for the show, for the Cowboys Cave tailgate party, some autograph stuff, some fun stuff. So you want to be part of it, man, get on over to YouTube and hit that subscribe. Did I beg enough, Kelly? Was that good enough, or do you got to plead too? I don't know.
You know what? I will. I mean, I definitely will. You know, that they had that one song, I Ain't Too Proud to Beg. I mean, I'm not too proud to beg anybody to go over there and get some subs for us. We could use all the ones we could get. I mean, guys, we're trying to, you know, we want to monetize this channel and make that tailgate on September 22nd, you know, the biggest and baddest tailgate that you've ever been to at the Dallas Cowboys AT&T Stadium. I mean, it's going to be that way regardless. But, you know, the subs definitely help us out. So if you can go over to YouTube and get that, we definitely do appreciate it. Cowboys fan. You know what? In honor of these guys, absolutely. Those guys, I love their language. I love their language, man. Those guys love to get a little X-rated on their show in terms of the language, and I love it. Love those guys. They do great.
I think we're gonna be able to hang out with them this year. Hopefully, I know they go.
Hey, listen, that's what I'm talking about. Cracking cold beers, and let's go.
And subscribe to their channel too. If you guys are missing it, Cowboys fan, those guys are the best, man. They are a lot of fun. Those are the guys I want to hang out with and tailgate with. So hopefully we'll be able to do it soon.
Them my kind of guys right there, definitely. So yeah, I mean, we appreciate every one of you guys and what you guys do for us and the support that you guys give us. Because again, we can't do this if nobody's watching. You know, if you guys ain't watching, you guys ain't enjoying it, you guys ain't subscribing. I mean, we can't do what we do without you guys. And again, I know we say this all the time. We don't think that we're somebody says, you know what? Actually, hold on. I'll do that.
Get it. I like the face change you make.
Yep. Listen. All right. Now listen up. I need everybody that's watching right now to stop what you're doing immediately. Stop it right now. I want you to go to the YouTube channel. I want you to find the Cowboys Cave. And when you find the Cowboys Cave, I want you to smash that like button. I want you to smash that like button like I did my illegitimate daughter's mother. And then I want you to subscribe. I want you to sign up, because what you're going to get is a one-of-a-kind experience on Cowboys Cave with my boy Mike Tag and Kelly K9. They bring in the Cowboys. They bring in the former Cowboys, the great 90s dynasties. And they bring that to y'all. And all you got to do is just subscribe. We ain't asking too much. but if we need to, we will beg. And hey, if you come to Dallas, AT&T, go to the local strip club and tell them Jerry sent you. Go back to the champagne room and you're welcome in advance.
There we go. Now you got Jerry telling you what you guys got to do. So, man, you got to definitely hit that like, subscribe, and get on over and do all of that. But, hey, appreciate all the love, man. It's been a lot of fun. You guys have a great weekend. Get out on the water. Do whatever you guys, if you live anywhere near water, it's going to be a great weekend. Hopefully where you guys are at, have some fun, man. The football season's getting closer. It's getting ever so close. And like I said, we've got some stuff that might be popping. We got some cool stuff that might be happening. So, again, hit that subscribe, like, share. We got a couple interviews that are in the mix of some Cowboy greats. That might be some Super Bowl champions might be popping in. So we will see you. Kelly, have a great weekend. Everyone, have a great weekend, man. We appreciate all the support. Another awesome show, man. Appreciate the love. See you.
Give me somebody that's hungry. Give me somebody that's hungry. I need somebody.